how what it's like and what people go through every time that they have to work away from the home. Again, like I said, we have many of people affected by this: military, over the road truck drivers, electricians, salesmen. I mean, there's several careers out there that make it to where you're pulled from your home and have to work away. So I thought it was kind of unique because I am part of the situation. This is my life. This is what I do. And so I have an opportunity to bring you guys some feedback from not only me, but I'm going to bring William in. I'm going to bring him into the video. We're just going to have a little conversation. He has no idea anything that I'm going to ask him. It's just me, and I'm just going to ask him some questions. It won't take forever. We're not going to do a whole long video. So please stay tuned, listen to what he has to say, listen to his perspective. That way you guys can hear it from him as well. And even though your story may be a little bit different, if you have a spouse that's working away from the home, listen to what we're talking about. And I hope it brings you something. So stay tuned, guys. I'm going to go ahead and bring him on in. Hey. So you guys, this is William. This is my significant other. Um, he's never been on my channel before. How do you feel about this?
It's kind of different.
It's kind of different, yeah.
We have our own channel, but it's kind of different to be on this
On
one,
on this end, right?
right?
Um, so you know that I've done this little mini series about being working away from home, and so I thought, like I told you, I just kind of wanted your perspective, um, on your insight on how you go through or you manage or your motivation or what keeps you going. So maybe you can offer some insight or we can offer some insight to others that are going through the same thing. Um, you good with that?
Yeah, yeah, sounds good.
Is everything fair game?
Ask me anything you want.
Have you been forced to record this video?
No,
And you do realize that this is on a public platform and that it will be published to anybody that wants to review it, right?
yes,
Okay. Again, guys, I just want to reiterate, this is not my client. This is my significant other. He gave me this ring here. So it's our personal, my personal questions to him, his opinions to what I'm asking. So, um, the first thing that I want to ask you is, on a scale from 1 to 10, how, with 10 being the hardest, one being the easiest, how hard was it for you to make the choice to go over the road? And be real, be honest.
um, when are you talking? Like here recently, or back when I first started driving?
Just do our situation, just deal with our situation.
Okay. It was kind of an easy decision because at the time, and you've talked about it before. We've had our ups and downs. Back in our first part of our relationship, and at that time, we were currently separated. Um, we were separated, but a week, if that. But that's within that week period of time. I found a over the road driving job, and um, I scheduled to leave that following Monday, and I think we started talking on Friday, so it was already in the works as far as that goes. Now, on a scale of 1 to 10, easy to hard, I would say probably a one or a two because it was that easy because we weren't currently in a relationship. You know, um, as as far as that goes.
Right. It
Now,
literally, the only reason we got back together is because he called me to take him to the airport to leave for his job.
correct, correct.
So,
Now, after that point in time, after we started talking again and working things out, I would put that at a 10.
yeah,
Definitely a 10. And that was a hard decision to make.
yeah, I would agree. Um, Aside from just missing missing home, because, I know you miss home.
I do.
How do you feel being out there by yourself? How do you feel? going down the road and not being here or with others?
It's very lonely. I've always considered myself being a loner, type of person. Um, but you always, if you're in a relationship or whatever, you always want that companionship. And being out here on the road, away from you, from family, from everything, it gets very lonely. Even though I do consider myself a loner type of person, it still has that concept of I don't have anybody to really engage with. You know, we
Right.
talk we talk on the phone, but as far as having somebody to touch, to hug, to kiss, that's really a struggle. And I talk to people on the phone, talk to you on the phone, but the loneliness of because I'm in this truck by myself. I mean, as y'all can see, I'm in a truck currently, and I'm all by myself. I have radio, I have Sirius XM, I have YouTube to watch or whatever, but that only goes so far.
Right.
It doesn't bring the companionship that I crave.
The aspect.
Yes.
And the crazy part of that, guys, and we're going to go to this, is his love language is physical touch. Okay. And he didn't understand all of this conversation until I talked to him for years upon years. But his love language is physical touch. So it makes this situation 10 times harder because he never gets that chance to get the physical touch unless it's 4 days out of a month. And so that's
That
probably
and,
the
and that's really hard. That's really hard to sit here day in and day out and not have that. Not have that. I just reach over and grab your hand. You know.
right. Yeah. Um, so do you think that, or do you see why it is such a big thing to me to make sure that your emotions are checked? Like I always am like, are you okay? Do you see why I worry about the concerns of depression setting in? Do you understand that idea of why there's a concern for mental health issues?
I do. And back before I met you, I probably wouldn't have. But being around you and learning all the mental health aspects of life, I you know I can see why you do that now, and I don't question you doing that. You know, and you know people need to to ask if people are okay. They need to interact with each other and ask those hard questions because I might be having a bad day for me, but it might be portrayed to you as a sign. And if I have that if I have that sign that you might consider, that might be a start a form of depression,
Mhm.
you could catch it early, and then I think maybe we could try to work on it and talk about it and get it to where it's not as bad or better.
Well, and what I'll say with that is, I'll be honest, guys. He goes out for anywhere from 4 weeks to, I think you've been out 5, 6 weeks.
Well, I've been out 4 weeks currently on Monday, so I'll be coming in on Friday. So it'll be a little over 4 weeks, 4 weeks
Right,
and 5 days.
right. But we've had longer hauls.
Yes, yeah. I think my longest time out was like right at 6 weeks.
Right. And I say that to say this. we're going to be at 4 weeks. For the last week, he becomes very quiet, very reserved, he's very touchy sometimes. I'm like, I said that. And you're like, no, you didn't. Like, he gets
Yeah.
his responses to things are completely different at the end of week 3. About,
And we
actually,
and we just experienced that. We just experienced that like what 2 days ago.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and
And
it wasn't nothing major. I mean, I don't want people to think that it's
no,
like I'm just whatever,
no.
but it wasn't nothing major. But I do tend to
His
I
responses
I,
have been different.
I start missing you so much,
Hmm.
and I want to be home. I want to be home. I want to be home.
Right. And it's hard as me sitting here because I know that's what you want. I mean, it doesn't take a rocket science to say that you'd rather be home with me. Um, but that's not our situation. So I'm always trying to be like, okay, I feel like, and you have to admit, like our communication, how do you think it's been changed throughout this period?
Oh, I think we talk way more now than what we ever had in the very beginning of me going over the road.
Yeah.
I, I,
Even,
I think I think our conversations have gotten more in depth
yeah.
when we talk. If that's the right word to use.
Yeah, it is. It is because we have to use communication for all that we do. And we don't get like right now you guys can see us communicate, you can see, our facial expressions, you can see all that, but there's times we don't have this because the internet's spotty or he's in waiting for an unload or a load in a location that he doesn't have good cell service. So it might just be a phone call. So we have to make sure everything that we say is understood. And if it's not understood, we have to trust in the other to say, hey, I don't understand. Can you explain that differently? Like, I feel that our communication has grown leaps and bounds. And that might be beside, that and the financial gain from you being out are probably the only two benefits from you working OTR. Would you agree?
Definitely, definitely
Yeah.
would agree on that. And our communication is majority
Majority.
majority through the phone, uh,
Yeah.
uh, calls, not through text,
Hmm.
because through text there could be a lot of miscommunication there.
Yes.
So if people are out and about working and they're just texting back and forth, try to call instead.
There's a lot
You
of
know, it's
misunderstanding.
hard for me to it's hard for me to text anyway because I'm driving down the road. So that's why we do more of a call situation. But when I'm not driving, we do text a little bit, and the miscommunication could be
Detrimental.
detrimental. Yes,
I mean, we've
because
had
you,
situations where like years ago when we first got together, I believe we broke up through text
yeah, we
because
did.
we weren't communicating by all means, and a text is what it was because this wasn't happening at that time.
Exactly, exactly.
Would you agree?
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely.
So let me ask you this, and guys, if you don't know, back in story, I had a stroke a little over a year ago. Um, How did that affect you and your mental health going back to work and leaving me at home in the middle of a crisis, middle of finding out I was having a stroke, and then the recovery process and having to depend on people to take care of me and you weren't able to? How did that affect you?
Wow. Because okay, we found out you had a stroke, and I left the next day. That was probably the roughest thing I've had to do since we've been in a relationship. Um, an immense emotion of having to, well, not having to, but needing to leave
Mm,
because of the uncertainty of it. Because
right.
you said it before. you didn't know what you were going to be doing from that day forward with your work, and
Right.
we still needed money coming in, and we had a little bit in savings. But we just got back from Vegas, so we didn't have as much in savings as we would have
Good.
if this would have happened, a week prior.
Yeah.
So to get in this truck and leave you at that state, it was just, it was bad. It was very hard on me to say, okay, I can leave her, and you would be okay.
Yeah. So when now I'm just going to give some words here. So when as a therapist, when I'm talking and I would hear something like this is where you come in with feelings of depression, the helpless, the hopeless, the sadness, the you're meeting many criterias just in what you just said. So as a therapy point of view, that is a red flag to me, and I would have to start watching you as a client if you were my client. And that's what are they doing over there?
There was a truck driving by.
Gotcha. That's where concerns come into play, and I think that it was probably one of the scariest things for me to experience on this end, because not only did I want and need you, and I wanted you more than I needed you there. I didn't
Right,
need you as much because I did have an army of support here. But I hurt for you because for months we couldn't talk on the phone very long because my head just couldn't handle it. We
right,
couldn't do video because the light was too bright. There were so many restrictions to our everyday relationship, and I knew that you were just hurting inside.
right,
Um, so when emergencies arise and when these are our, we have loved ones that are going out to work. Guys, it's not because they want to. There is a need, there's a reason, whether it be financial, whether it be, whatever it is, that's that that's the only reason that people continue to do this. I don't think many people love to just go get in their truck and be away from their family and their loved ones. Would you agree?
I definitely would agree. I don't come out here on the road just for fun. I come out here on the road for the money. I mean,
Yeah.
I've heard you say it in your videos before. If it wasn't for the money, I wouldn't be out here
Yeah.
at all. I so much rather would be at home, and working a job locally.
Yeah.
Um, but because of the financial aspect, I can't physically do that right now.
Right.
We're working on the financial aspect of our life to get to that point, but currently we're not there.
Well, and a lot of that has been, there's been a lot of setbacks the last year because of the health and whatever. But
Right,
also, like, I'm working a job as a therapist under candidacy, and it's not the best pay by far. My pay will soon increase because and allow him to come home because it will increase. My pay will increase, and that's what's going to be helpful to us, right?
exactly.
Um, but I know this isn't possible for everybody. We were listening to a YouTube last night, a video, and we literally seen somebody go through the breakup and learn that he was going to be going through a divorce. Um, have you ever been to that point in our relationship with the situation? Like, have you ever thought we just won't make it?
There was a few times, in the early part of our relationship, because I think it's because you weren't used to the fact that you didn't have anybody there constantly. I mean, I've been in other relationships and I've been through this process, so I knew what it was like. But I think for you, the struggle of having or not having me there put a a struggle in our relationship that you weren't used to, and it caused us to not mesh like we needed to, and
Yeah.
that not meshing put us in a spot to where we were at odds with each other. And yeah, we did break up over text while I was out on the road.
Yeah. I
It's not a fun thing to go through
no.
at all.
I will tell you, probably the hardest thing for me in the beginning was the fact that there were some other dynamics in our relationship that we won't get into because it was prior to you working away, so I don't want to bring it in. But there was some past that had brought some fear in that up too. And so I don't know what made us get over that hump besides communicating and talking about our feelings, talking about what we think, and having open discussions. I don't know what happened, but that's all that I can say did get us through those tough times. Um, but in reality, for me, I definitely had times where I'm like, is this going to work? Like is this worth it? One, is this something that I want to endure for the rest of my life? And it was hard. But what happened was is that I seen a side of you that also eased my mind, and I don't think that you thought of this, the ability to see that you wanted to care for us. You know, I am a glass half full person, so I always think of the bright side. So I really have not struggled with that as much as one would think because I know at the end of the day, you're not out there just because you don't want to be here. You're out there because that's what you need to do for us, for our family, for what we're doing in our life. So I've really had a pull on that, thinking about the positive things and the reason why, the why you do this. If I let the negative thoughts get intrusive, then we would be done and I would be done. I would be crazy right now because they definitely could be very intrusive. Does
Right.
that make sense? So I
Most
think that that's why I try to encourage you. Like we just had a little pep talk this morning. Like it's okay. It'll be okay. There's a reason. There's a why. Just trust the process. It's going to happen. Did we not?
Yeah, we did. It was just like what 10 hours ago,
Yeah. Yeah.
whatever it was. Just
Yeah.
this morning. We did that, and
And
and to go back on what you were saying earlier, what got us through that, I think, was all the communication that we had. And you say that a lot in your videos is the communication.
I think another thing is
Part,
expectations. We talk a lot about our expectations,
right.
and that's part of the communication is talking about our expectations.
But
And
I think people need to really focus in on that communication if they're in a relationship,
right.
and if they're out here or away from home working.
Hmm.
That communication is so vital to staying healthy in your relationship.
Definitely, definitely. Because guys, there's a lot of things that can happen out there when somebody's working away from home. A lot of relationships fail because of adultery, because of becoming an alcoholic. I don't know that you've even I don't know if I've even talked to you about it, but there's a higher chance for a person working away from home to become dependent upon alcohol because it is a leisure activity and it's relaxing. Now, William can't do that because if he gets caught with alcohol, we're done. We're done.
Yeah,
So it's a little different for our situation, but in many situations where others are working away from home, that's what you run into.
right.
So, um,
And
that's
and
why.
I would say this as far as that goes, it's kind of hard for a truck driver to do that. I'm not saying it doesn't happen or couldn't
Okay,
happen.
hold on. You just broke up. What was that? It's hard for you to what?
It's harder for a truck driver to do that,
Mhm.
um, or have that situation come about
Right.
just simply because of the driving aspect. Now, like a salesman or somebody that travels away
Military men have
from
ability
the
to do
military. Yeah, it's
um
easier for them to you know get into an alcoholic state of mind
Yeah.
because of the what you were
It's
saying,
the
being away and not having that family life, that focus on that, and thinking that it's because I will say this. I do have thoughts from time to time, thinking that this is just going to be the way it is the rest of my life, and it sucks. I don't want it to be like this the rest of my life. But
yeah,
those thoughts are in my head because you know I can't I can't see past this windshield. I can't see the future of being financially secure from time to time. Now I know we have goals. We have the goals, but get those goals. If a goal is a 6 month goal and it's the first month after we set that goal, it's kind of hard to see past that
right,
windshield and seeing that 6 months is going to be okay, and to
right,
have that capacity, that mental capacity to not think other things like, well, screw this, I'm just going to go get drunk or whatever,
right,
to cope with that. I could see that aspect of it.
right, right. Um, Another thing is being an over the road truck driver. I don't think they're as present today, but lot lizards had a lot to put in your face years and
and
years
and
more so in the
and
past.
you're right. And if people don't know, Lot Lizard is a prostitute. You know.
Yeah. And so many truck drivers that are OTR are presented or offered. And so like how easy would that be to fall into that trap?
Yeah, very
And
very easily, very
yeah.
easily.
Um but another thing that's a little bit different from salesmen and you or military and you is that's your home. You don't stay
Yeah,
at a hotel. You don't stay
no,
at a barrack with other peers. This
right,
is your home. This is you, and so that's what makes it a little bit different. So,
right.
um, one last thing that I want to ask you because I don't want to make this forever is if you could tell your peers that are in the group of work away from home anything to help them get through the day, what would it be?
It'll be okay. It will be okay. Um, there's somebody that wants you home, and if you continue to think that, you'll make it home. You'll be okay. Um, for the longest time that when I first get out here after I'm home for a week or whatever, and I come back out the very first couple of days, it sucks, because I don't want to leave home. But knowing that you're there, knowing that it's okay that I'm out here and you're going to support me, I make it through. So that would probably be the one thing I would say to anybody that's away from home working, is that it will be okay. You're not doing anything bad. You're supporting your family, and that's okay.
There's a why for it.
Yes.
And I think as this perspective of being the spouse or somebody that's sitting at home while he is out is kind of the same thing. It's okay to not be okay all the time. It's okay to have hurt and have sadness and to feel, alone and to feel scared and cuz God, I feel scared a lot. And to feel worried because that consumes me a lot is worry. It's okay to feel these feelings, but if you will remain positive, if you will remain with the thought process that it will be okay, everything will be okay. And there's a why to this story. There's a why they're not here. There's a when they will come back. It's something that we have to either A support them or B possibly not have them at all. And I would rather support him 110% knowing the why than I would to not have him at all. I at least get him 4 days a week in person, or a week. Wow, that'd be great. 4 days a month in person. Um, and we do have strong goals to get that stopped, to where he's home nightly. So time will happen, things will happen. It will come to where it's different, but live in the moment, accept what it is, and use communication as the tool to bring you through it all. So thank you so much for coming on here. I know it's kind of a little weird Q&A, but I think that we have a good component to this little chat because this is our life. This is what we do. Um, and I do thank you so much for coming on here with me. And guys, just know that if you are in the middle of this situation, you're stronger than your worst day. It will surpass. But lean on the person that cares for you the most. Lean on the person that has to be away from you because they don't want to be there any more than we want them there. So, thank you again, William. I know that
You're welcome.
this was probably not your favorite thing to do, but I do appreciate it.
No, it was good information that people, they need to know. So I think we did a fantastic job here. So
Yeah. And if you guys need anybody, if you guys need couple friends that are in this situation, if you want people to relate to, you can always reach out to me. My email's in the link in my channel. I'm here. And if it's something that he is needed because you're a man, I can get you in contact with him. Um, I I want to support you guys as much as possible. So for now, I just want to tell you guys thank you so much for listening to the little series here. I hope that it's helped you guys so much. And if it has, or if it has left you thinking, definitely drop a comment. Let me know that you're watching. And I do appreciate everything, guys. Thank you for watching, liking, sharing. Please subscribe. And for now, we're going to call it a video. What do you think, William?
sounds good.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.